Hey everyone, welcome back, and welcome to the unboxing of my Fire Emblem 30th Anniversary Collector's Edition. So just before we switch to the overhead cam, I want to explain to you a little bit what this is. First of all, it was released on December 4th of 2020, and basically it's the first ever time that the first Fire Emblem from the NES era, so the old 8-bit Nintendo era, was released actually officially localized for North America. I mean, you could already play the original Japanese version from the Famicom with some translation packs, but it was never officially localized by Nintendo, so this is actually the first time it's going to be released. And also, just before we get the unboxing started, we already know that there is no physical cartridge in this. We pretty much you can see what all the official contents are online, but we know that there's no physical cartridge, and that basically there's a digital download code in this box. So unfortunately, I was a little bit disappointed when Nintendo announced that, but there's quite a bit more in this box. And right now, unfortunately, I know that this product is sold out in most parts of the world. And unfortunately, scalpers have jumped in, and as usual, you're gonna have to pay double to triple the regular retail price for this thing, which is already pricey at just over $50. If you want to pick one up. So in this case, I think an unboxing is even more important to show you exactly what's in the contents so that you can tell yourself, is it worth hunting for one of these things retail, or in the end, even biting the bullet and paying a scalper? I personally never think it's really worth it paying scalpers, because we're sort of encouraging to do this every time a special edition like this releases. But I can understand that if you're a collector and you did not manage to get a pre-order in, that you might want to, like I said, bite the bullet and go for it. So I think one of these unboxings is even more important in this case, so you can really see what's in it, what it looks like, and see if it's worth purchasing. Oh, and also, just before we switch to the overhead cam, this thing is huge. If it doesn't already seem like it on the table, this is a normal Switch box next to it. Like, this thing is huge and it's very heavy. So there seems to be a lot packed into this. So now, let's just switch to the overhead cam and we're going to get going with the unboxing. So, just as I said earlier, this thing is so huge, I'm going to do my best to keep it in frame for the close-up camera, but I'm pretty much at the max limit that I can install my camera at. So, hopefully, we're going to be able to see everything properly. Obviously, I'm going to have to take the things out one by one. So, just before, let's take a really close-up look at the box before we open it. So obviously, you have a beautiful Fire Emblem logo at the front with the title, and what I love is you have the backing actually in the original Japanese. So it's really, really reminiscent of the fact that this is the first time that it's a localized release. It really gives that feeling from the box. And at the back, we have basically, once again, the general logo from this particular game. And then we have basically a list of contents of the box. Now, I'm not going to read them off to you simply because we're going to be looking through them through the video. So we're going to keep that as a surprise as we go through the unboxing to see what exactly is in this pack. So I'm pretty much going to open this thing from the top, and let's make sure we can get everything out without actually damaging anything. So the first thing we have in the pack is a huge collector's edition artwork booklet. And this thing is massive. Now we're going to open this and take a look at the artwork, but I'm going to keep that to the end. So we're going to put this aside. Let's keep looking through and see what's in here. Then I'm going to open this up to give you guys an idea of what exactly is in this in case you want to pick one up for yourselves. So next, we have an awesome reproduction of a Nintendo Power poster. Like, if you had Nintendo Power back in the day, generally you would get these posters in some of the volumes, and basically on one side you had a full page artwork of the game, and then at the back you have like a strategy guide with some of the secrets of the game and whatnot. Oh, this is awesome. This is really, really like exactly in the retro style of the old Nintendo Powers. Now, I know maybe some of you out there had never had old school Nintendo Powers, but this is exactly the kind of setup that they had. Now, my version is from North America in Quebec, so it's dual languages, English and French. I know that some parts of the world you'll be getting like English and Spanish or other language combinations, but honestly, this thing is beautiful. Of course, I would have liked maybe a little bit of a thicker volume with a few pages to it, but at the same time, it really is reminiscent of those posters you used to get back in the day. Now, we have the reproduction of what probably would have been the original NES box back in the day. Basically, when you used to buy NES carts, they used to come in these cardboard boxes like this, okay? And you had the game inside, you also had an instruction manual normally, and actually this thing has quite a bit of weight to it. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what's in this. Obviously, we're gonna have the digital download code. I'm gonna have to hide that from all of you. I'll probably have used it before the video goes up, but you know, I don't wanna take any chances with that. And what I love about this is actually really pretty rigid plastic. So anyone that wants to box this stuff back up and put it all back together, it's actually gonna go back together really well. So I'm just gonna put this aside. Like I said, we're gonna move it off to the side. We'll come back to the booklet a little later. Now let's take a look at what's in this. So first of all, we have an awesome instruction booklet from Fire Emblem. And this is like the thickness and girth that you would used to have in the old NES booklets. I know nowadays we get no instructions at all, but this thing is over 40 pages long. It's over 50 pages long. It's actually 55 pages. And you've really got, you know, an introduction to the story, because often the games had very little story in it and you got more of the story from the actual instruction manual than the game itself. You know, then you have a table of contents showing you basically the actions in the game, how to read the menu on hit points and all that. And it breaks it down to even items and really all that. Wow. You have a description of all the unit types after that. Wow, even storyline background on all the characters. And this is really like it was back in the day. Like I said, I know nowadays we rarely have instruction manuals and anything, but like I said, back in the day, you actually got more of the story and more of the background around the characters than in the instruction manual than in the game. And NES games, a lot of them didn't have tutorials built in, meaning that you really needed the instruction manuals often to really be able to fully understand and play the game, especially when you were a young kid, because, you know, adults could sometimes figure it out without needing the instruction manual, but if you put yourself in the body of a like 7-8-year-old kid, you needed these things to be able to play the game. So honestly, this instruction booklet is really well made. So more good news, I can actually show you the card for the download code because it's a scratch off. So you have to scratch it off to get the code. I would be careful. Some of these, you can sometimes scratch the code off if you scratch too hard. So use like a penny or a dime to scratch it lightly to get the code. Nice artwork on the front. So even after I'm going to use this, I'm going to be keeping this card. I actually might not scratch it and buy a separate copy, just because I want to keep it fully intact. And next, we have a map of the overworld, which is another thing you often got in a lot of Nintendo games. And at the back, you actually have a chart with all the different characters and their base statistics. Wow, this is really awesome. So this is like a quick reference while you're playing the game. If you get lost, often you'd get like these maps of the overworld, because once again, you would rarely in-game get a full view of the map. And basically, you would use this to move your way around the map. And at the back, you have a chart for any, you know, fast reference to the different characters, their hit points, stats, and whatnot. Man, Nintendo went all out. I'm still disappointed that they didn't include a physical cart, but they really did go above and beyond on the quality of what they did include. Now we're getting to what probably is going to be one of the central pieces for a lot of people, the reproduction Nintendo cart. And I really wasn't expecting this. This thing is solid acrylic. Like, this must easily weigh about at least 2 or 3 pounds in my opinion. And basically you have the Fire Emblem at the back. However, like you can see, the visual illusion is that basically it shines through just like a cart would back in the day. Now this thing is a awesome piece because you can even stand it up And I'll give you guys a front view later, but basically you can stand this up if you want it on a desk or something, and it'll stay there, no problem. You can even have it in its protector, standing up with the image peeking out here. So like I said, I'll give you a separate view from the front because really when I'm looking at it now, it's something you're gonna wanna see. But it is really, really amazing. It is not what I expected. I was expecting like a plastic hollow in the middle sort of artwork piece, but no, they did solid acrylic to really make it a centerpiece for like a decoration on a desk, or probably you guys are going to see it behind me now from now on when I'm filming videos. Anyway, so far all of this is amazing and way better than I was expecting. So I'm getting more and more happy that I actually decided to buy this thing, because at first I was like, ugh, I'm buying it, but I was scared it was going to feel cheap. It does not feel cheap at all. So I cleared out pretty much everything on my table so we can take a closer look at what's actually in this art book. And honestly, just so you guys can see how thick this is, like this is a really well put together book. It's not cheap. However, I do want to be careful on how we turn the pages because I don't want to cause creases. Now I hope you guys can see it on the camera, but just in case you can't, I'll read through really quickly the table of contents. Then we'll take a quick look at some of the pages in the book. Obviously this thing is more than 150, it's more than 200 pages long actually. It's like somewhere around 220 pages. We're not going to take the time to look at each one of the pages, but I think from what we'll look at, we'll get a pretty good idea of what's in this. So if we read through the table of contents really quick, we have the world of Shadow Dragon, Fire Emblem, Shadow Dragon, and the Blade of Light, Fire Emblem, Mystery of the Emblem, Fire Emblem, Archanea Saga, sorry about the pronunciation, Fire Emblem, Shadow Dragon, Fire Emblem, New Mystery of the Emblem, Beyond Archanea, the Trading Card Game, Codename Steam, Fire Emblem Heroes, and Fire Emblem Cypher. So if we take a look quickly, it's really like a visual history of Fire Emblem. And this, we basically have a timetable of basically where each kingdom is set. So it's basically a timeline placing most of the games and when the stories actually happened compared one to another. Then we have like basically a lot of backstory to the first game. We have maps of the different plane surfaces and basically the different maps where you're going to do your battles on. Wow. This thing is really detailed. So obviously the first section is settled around or locked around the legacy of Archanea. Let's just go a little further. So then we have a lot of the artwork. So then we have pages basically with all different artwork in it. Let's jump ahead again a little bit. Then we have basically full page artwork of the characters further on, which are really, really nice. Then we have sort of like backdrops with the characters on them. Then we get into the trading card game. So we have basically the characters that came out in the trading card game, which I personally don't know much about. But basically, we could keep going through, but like after the first section where you get a lot of history, it seems to be almost all full of artwork. Like this is insane. This is really well put together, and for someone who really likes classic anime artwork, like this is beautiful. So there we have it, the full unboxing to the Fire Emblem Collector's Edition. And honestly, I am not regretting purchasing this thing at all. At first, the fact that there wasn't a physical cart in it was really, really disappointing me, but I decided to pick it up nonetheless because it just, the rest of it just looked so awesome. And now actually opening it and seeing how Nintendo put this thing together, I'm feeling totally relieved of the price I paid for it. Because like I said, I really wasn't expecting that full acrylic cart. The collection of Artbook manual is way huger than I ever thought it was going to be. And all those little extra pieces that Nintendo did to put in this pack really, really drives it home that this is an awesome, awesome collector's edition to have. So now I'd like to hear from all of you. If any of you picked up this collector's edition, are you happy with what you got? Is there any of the parts that disappointed you? Do you agree with what I thought of it? I really want to hear from you, so leave it down in the comments below. Also, if you like this video and you want to see more of my content, please hit the like button because it really does help out a lot. Also, subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. Also, don't forget to hit that notification bell so you know when all the future videos are coming out. And as usual, I hope I'll see you in my next video.